Good day, good Sunday. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, I'm going to pose a question. Can there be a shortage in the 1,000-ounce silver bars in the world supply? And that's what they supply industry with, 1,000-ounce silver bars. Well, let's talk a little bit. You know, right now we're undergoing inflation. The real inflation number in America is around 9% inflation per year. The Fed says they want more inflation. They say it's not near enough. Of course, they just like all the numbers, they fudge the numbers. They say it's only like less than 2% inflation, but really it's about 9%. There's only one item out there that I can think of, or say two items that I can think of, that are moving in the opposite direction from inflation. You notice the prices on everything have been rising. Everything. But now go back a few years ago. Silver was like $30 an ounce. The price has been slowly but steadily falling. It's working against the grain of everything else. The price of everything else has been moving up the same percentage that silver's been moving down. What's up with that? Well, first off, you have to understand the fundamentals of silver mining. You have to have a fundamental understanding of silver inventories. Some of the guys get on here and talk about silver, you know, they count the entire world inventories of silver. But inventories are different. There's some inventories that are available for sale, and then there's other inventories that are not. You know, there is a lot of silver in the world being held in private hands, and a lot of this silver is counted in the world inventory. You know, it's not available for sale because some of these people that bought the silver, or in fact a lot of them, have actually paid more than the price is right now, including J.P. Morgan, who probably has somewhere around 150 million ounces. They're waiting for something. They're waiting for something big, and that's what we're going to discuss. Let's get started. Where's my chart? Give me a second. Let's open up the chart right here and take a look. We're going to hone in on this, and we're going to take a look at this chart very closely. Now, what we're talking about on today's show is a silver shortage possible. Could we actually have a shortage of silver? Well, what we're seeing, this chart is from SR Rocco report, and what they're showing is the amount of world production of silver annually. You know? Now, back in the 1400s, look at this, 1500s, 1600s, we were only producing 6.9 million ounces. And it went along like that for a long time until the 1600s and 1700s, and then we were producing 13 million ounces a year. And the reason why we produced such a little bit of silver was how we had to get it. We had to use picks and shovels. That's how we had to get the silver. So it was a major feat to produce 13 million ounces using a pick and a shovel. Believe me. So, and then we moved into the 1800s. It didn't get much better, but the Industrial Revolution was starting, and you can see it picked up to 18 million ounces. And then when the Industrial Revolution really got underway, look at it jump to 51 million ounces a year back in the 1800s and early 1900s. But then look at it shoot up in the 1900 to 2000 when we started to get the internal combustion engine. Internal combustion engine comes in two forms, the gasoline version and the diesel version. Plus we had steam engines too. Early 1900s, steam engines. By the time the latter part of the 1900s are coming around, we were all into internal combustion engines to run our big silver machines, digging machines and everything else. And we invented new ways, faster ways to get the silver out faster out of the ground. Much faster. And look how these numbers picked up. 274 million ounces a year in the 1900s, say back around 1950. It continued to shoot up as industrial machinery got more effective. The big earth-moving machines got more powerful. They got bigger buckets on them, able to move the raw ore out of the ground faster, and the mines got bigger, and they had more money behind them. And look what happened. We went all the way up to 722 million ounces a year. Now, you know these guys out there who say, oh, yeah, well, you know, the world's got all kinds of silver. There's silver everywhere, you know. And look, there's like millions of ounces of silver eagles out there and all this kind of stuff, you know. The thing that they're missing is the mines. When you go to buy your silver eagle, or you go to buy any of your bar and coin demand, anything, silver eagles, a bar of silver, whatever you want, where do you think that silver's coming from? That silver was in the ground just a few months earlier. That silver is coming from the mines. It's not coming from private holdings of silver who are selling silver and stuff like that. Sometimes it does, a little bit comes from that, but for the most primary part, the world is supplied with silver continuously by the mines producing upwards of 800 million ounces a year. Now, most of that mining production goes into making things for industry. Industry consumes an awful lot of silver. But there's a large chunk of it that every year has to come out of that mining production for bar and coin demand. And so these guys out there say, oh, you can go out and buy 50 monster boxes and there's all kinds of silver out there. Yes, there is. But that silver is coming from mining supply. Now, let's move on to a different chart here. Let's go down to world silver production chart between this chart starts in the 1400s again, world silver production and total world silver production, and what we're looking at is that pickup or increase over the years. But what we notice is that in the world silver production, 17,061 million ounces from the year 1950 to 2000. Okay? So we're noticing 17,061 million ounces from the year 1950 to 2000. But look here on the end, from the year 2000 to 2017. Now that was a 50-year period. They produced 17. Remember that number, 17 over a 50-year period from 1950 to 2000. From 2000 to 2017, only a 17-year period, they've produced 13,000. Okay? It shows the increase in world silver production. Massive increase in world silver production. What this basically means is the miners have become much more effective at cleansing the silver out of the ground fast. In other words, they're consuming it extremely fast. The world has a set amount of silver in the ground, especially the silver that's easy to get. The silver that is the parts of the mine where they're getting a lot of silver per ton of ore. Extremely easy to get, and that easy to get silver is being dug out first, and it's getting dug out really fast. Well, it's just like if you had some kid that was really hungry, you know, and you give him a pie, and he starts eating the center of the pie out. Or a pizza, say, and he eats all the topping off. That's what the silver's like right now. The miners have scraped all the topping off of the pizza, and they've ate all the cheese, and ate all the tomatoes, and ate all of the meat that's on the pizza, and all that's left now is practically is crust. That's the way with the silver mining. So what's going to happen is, it's just in a natural process. Silver mining is going to start declining. First off, the price has been low for a long time now. And the miners have not been doing due diligence. They've not been doing their further exploration to open new mines and things like that. In fact, they've been, even in the mines that they're working at, they're closing certain sections of the mine, and then they're mining out the sections of the mine where the silver is more plentiful, and leaving off other sections of the mine because the price is low right now. Also, a huge amount of mining production comes from them searching for other metals, and silver becomes a byproduct. Namely, a lot of these other metals has to do with copper and nickel and zinc, right? And when they dig these other metals out, they get silver. Well, these other metals are metals that are used in industry as well, but they're used more in construction and building of society. Infrastructure uses a tremendous amount of these metals. So now, how can silver actually have a shortage if we move into a recession? And I'm getting to this point, but we're going to take a look at another chart here. This is the United States world silver production. United States versus world silver production. And you know what we notice in this chart? Going back to 1915, we notice that the United States made about more than a third of the silver was coming from the United States back in 1915. And the rest of the world wasn't producing as much as they do now. Look at 2017. Only this tiny little red line on the bottom is the United States' production. And the rest is all world production. And the reason why is because an awful lot of this silver that the world's using or consuming is coming as a byproduct of other metals. Because we've undergone a credit expansion. Just take a look at China building their ghost cities. You think those ghost cities didn't require a lot of copper? Yes, they did. They required tremendous amounts of copper. And other industrial metals. What happens is this increased the production of silver as a byproduct. And so it put further supply into the marketplace. Now, what happens when we go into a recession? Well, it's very simple. This industrial demand for these other metals drops off significantly. For copper, zinc, tin, metals like copper, zinc, tin, and these other metals that produce silver, the demand drops off significantly. So the silver incoming supply for industry drops off significantly. Now, at the same time, you have industrial use of silver dropping somewhat, but not dropping as much as the supply side will be dropping even faster in a recession. But there's another factor to consider here, and this is the factor that'll cause the shortage in the 100,000 ounce silver bars. And that factor is namely that as the silver inventories start to drop that are available for sale into the market, the bar and coin demand, well, let me put it another way. I'll put it another way to try to explain it to you guys. We're moving into a certain environment right now where the world's central banks are printing money on a massive scale. And this is only going to get much worse as we progress into this inflationary recession, where construction and everything like that, infrastructure and everything slows down, but at the same time, the volume of money, the velocity of money is increasing, the volume of money is increasing, and in this environment, inflation comes roaring in. Now, in that kind of environment where inflation comes roaring in, what do you think is going to happen to the gold and silver market? With inflation coming roaring in, hot inflation. Well, I can tell you guys right now what will happen to the gold and silver market. the gold and silver market, bar and coin demand, will start to increase. And I'm not talking about an insignificant increase in bar and coin demand. Once that price of gold and silver starts to go up, sentiment will change. Sentiment for the last few years in gold and silver has been more than bad. It's been abysmal. Once the price starts to move up and starts to creep up gradually over a period of months, caused by the central bank's inflation that they're causing by their change in monetary policy, once that really starts to set in, and once the price of silver has been moving up for a period of time, gradually keep creeping up, and we've seen it already begun, the price of silver gradually creeping up. As it creeps up, sentiment's going to change, and bar and coin demand is going to increase. Well, that's coming at a time when mining is dropping off or lagging off. And the reason why is because the price has been so low for so long. You just cannot snap your fingers and have the miners suddenly produce more silver. It doesn't work that way. It takes a minimum of like 2 years for them to increase production. Even if the price is shooting up on silver, production of silver from the mines won't increase. But bar and coin demand sure will, especially if you're moving into a recession and the world is scared and they're looking for a hedge. So, if we get a sharp increase in bar and coin demand, it can more than make up for the difference in a slight slump in industrial usage. And say we get like a 10% slump because of a recession in industrial usage. At the same time, bar and coin demand could double, triple, because the world's frightened and they're looking for a hedge, and silver's going up in price, been slowly going up in price. We already see this starting. We see the first signs and hints of this coming. Okay? So what happens then is we got this slump in mining production caused by this long period we've had of basically silver being suppressed in price, and the miners working at not that big a margin above mining production costs. That's going to continue. Even if we get a silver shortage, it'll continue. The mines, you just can't snap your fingers and have them suddenly produce a lot of silver. And as far as silver available for sale into the market, above and beyond mining supply, show it to me. I think it's a minuscule number. And I think this is a big thing that they're hiding out there. They're hiding the actual amount of silver that's actually available for sale that goes beyond mining supply. Because these people that are hoarding silver out there and waiting for the price to go up, they're not going to sell their silver, especially not at these prices. No way. So, how big is these inventories of silver that's available for sale? I think that they could be blown away in just a matter of weeks, or even days. And then if mining supply isn't going to cover it, where's it going to come from? We just can't wave a magic wand and make silver appear for the market to buy. If they chew through all of the mining supply because bar and coin demand is shot through the roof, and then they chew through what's left of the little bit of inventory that's available for sale, who's going to give them the silver? You going to give them your silver for sale into the market at these cheap prices in order for them to keep playing this silver game that they've been playing? And they rely upon, the only way they can keep this game going is if there's no failures to deliver physical silver. So as long as you can go into AppMax or an online retailer and buy silver and have it delivered, they can continue to play the price suppression game. But when the day comes when you go into your APMEX dealer and you look at their page, and everything you see, every single item is sold out. You want a 10-ounce bar, sold out. Well, maybe I can get it in this form, a 10-ounce bar, sold out too. And everything you look at on their page is sold out. There will be a panic to buy at that point in time. Bar and coin demand will explode when there is none available. And just because they got 50 monster boxes right now for sale, or 100 monster boxes at these companies like APMEX, doesn't mean that that can't dry up in one day if bar and coin demand explodes. Listen, there's a lot of fiat out there to buy the silver with. Don't be fooled by the fact that there is silver available right now in plentiful supply. Right now, because sentiment has been so low for so long, that a lot of people have been giving up and taking their silver into the dealer. And the dealers have been seeing enough people come in, giving up right now, taking their silver into the silver dealer for sale, that's helping to supply the market somewhat. And it's abysmal, the bar and coin demand over the last couple of years. It's been abysmal. And most people don't want to buy it. But what you're going to see in the very near future is, I believe, a tenfold increase in the price of silver from what it is now. I think we're looking at triple-digit silver coming. And I think we are looking at a shortage coming. And failures to deliver. And mining supply dropping instead of increasing, even during this shortage, because they can't gear up fast enough. And a panic within the industries that use silver, like, say, Apple iPhone. A panic within industry. Samsung, panicking. Maybe outbidding one another for what little bit of silver there is left so that they can make their phones and make their electronic goods and stuff like that. And we're going to see the price shoot up. The silver shortage won't last long, because there's a lot of silver out there, but it's not for sale at these prices. I think once silver gets back up, gets in triple digits, I shouldn't say back up because it's never been triple digits before, but when it gets triple digits, when silver hits triple digits, you'll see silver pouring into the market from these people who now have it. They'll start selling once again. Because greed and profit taking. They'll start selling it, and that's when the shortage will end. And the shortage won't last real long because the price is going to shoot up so fast. These big shots, they know this already. What I'm telling you right now, they know it's coming. They know it's coming, and that's why J.P. Morgan's holding like over 100, I'm just going to say over 100 million ounces, because I'm pretty sure he has over 100 million ounces. These guys, they like to make big profits. They won't hold something for a long time. They won't go long on it for a long time, waiting like this, if they're going to get anything less than a 10-bagger. A 10-bagger means 10 times their money. They're not going to hold it. They're not going to hold it long term like that unless they're going to get at least 10 times their money. These guys, they've been making money since the day they were born. When they're in the crib, their mother sings a song to them. Buy low, baby, buy low, sell high. That's how they learn. That's how they cut their teeth. They cut their teeth on learning how to buy. When everybody else doesn't want something, they're out there snatching it up. And that's the way silver's been for the last little while. Nobody wants it. It's unloved. Oh yeah, everybody out there right now loves Bitcoin, you know? And yeah, Bitcoin's got a lot of room, so does the stock market. Listen, guys, the stock market's going to take off, because this monetary policy, this change in global monetary policy, is going to make the stock market take off. Because they've changed. Now, for a long time, I was preaching that we were going to have a deflationary event. We were going to have a massive fall in the stock market. Because I believed that the Federal Reserve and the world central banks, which were tightening at the time, I believed that they were going to continue the tightening process until they exacerbated a stock market crash. Then I believed that they were going to relent. But they blindsided me. They relented before the stock market crash, not after. They've already relented. All the central banks are changing policy, and they're all going to dovish monetary policy, basically print money monetary policy, you know. And this environment is what is going to create the silver shortage. And I believe there is going to be a silver shortage. Yes, in the physical. And when that day comes, expect the paper market and the physical market to do one of two things. Either the paper market's going to blow up and explode, or what's even more likely to happen is that they're likely to keep it suppressed somewhat while the real physical metal separates from the paper price. And what we see is what's called a premium, if you want the real physical. And it could get so ridiculous, the premiums could get so ridiculous in the end, so as to make the paper price non-viable, ultimately. So this is where we're going with all this. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.